So in this lecture, we are going to focus on the possibility that is shifting the existing paradigm for folk art to ensure its sustainability for a longer duration. In this context, we must first focus on the existing plans and policies that we are going through, and apart from shifting the paradigm, and then slowly try to justify the alternative mediums. As we talked about the alternative context, now it's very important to see whether we can change the medium and cope up with the demands of today's time. As we discussed in many instances, that what can we give to the newer generation? Can we bring the older tradition and show them the same thing over and over again? Is it possible to show the traditional performances and proliferate the cultural knowledge to the new generation through folk and minor art and the kind of performance that it involves? Or is it really possible to include that into our regular lifestyle, which has changed to a large extent? So when the lifestyle is not surviving or altered, the older one is no more, then which is tradition? Because what is happening today is also making another tradition, and there is no contradiction as such. So every day we see that the tradition is getting added, and anything, as we said, that everything changes with time, and nothing actually dies, it's only changes. It's like we get a new form to it. So rather than entering into the philosophy, let's see like what are the policies and other things that we are able to find out from the available information. So folk art forms that survives within the particular lifestyle that becomes its context, if taken out and placed against a different situation, that may act differently, and that will result into the delusion of its essential language having been lost in translation. So when we look at altering the context, there are many other things that comes into the scene in terms of the policies that we make. So I'll just talk about one particular instance where it was published in August 2013, page 4 of the e-paper Hindustan Times Kolkata version in 17th August. There it was written that government to create art village for Patachitra artists. It is said in the report that the art galleries has as many as 65 houses, a museum for Patachitras, and a retail outlet. All these things are going to be set up in Naya village, and the work is still on, and it's happening in a rapid motion. So a guest house for tourists, the beautification or renovation of all houses in the village, electrification of the village roads, renovation of water bodies, and the entry gate to welcome the tourists. This is how the State Tourism Department wants to develop Naya village in West Midnapur district in West Bengal. And destination for lifestyle tourism is planned there. That is converting the informal segment to a formal sector as a government policy. So this is fine, the kind of initiatives, because Nayagram is still a little out of reach. It's very difficult to reach there through the conveyance that are not really up to the mark. But then again, according to K.G. Subramaniam, this can be read or interpreted as an effort to create a cultural pocket. What about the naturalness? How to preserve the natural growth of a culture? As we wondered that whether we are putting them into an artificial surrounding, or are they growing in a natural surrounding as such. So, bringing artists to different art styles under the same umbrella in workshops also shows this kind of a risk, that within the country and abroad they come and they participate in different workshops. Now they mix with each other. So that way, when we say that they are in risk to survive in cultural pockets, these are good platforms where they come together and they work. At the same time, when they come together, they appreciate, they critically look at the other styles that is there. But it is often seen that the artists are very particular about their own style. For example, the Odisha's Patachitra painter Bibhu Maharana, he told me into a personal interview that he often sees Madhubani painting with great appreciation, but he knows that Madhubani painting doesn't have angularity into it. They're very organic and linear, very free flowing. That is not the characteristic of Odisha's Patachitra painting. So, however interest he takes in that artwork, he likes it, but he doesn't practice that or try to combine that particular style with his own traditional training. Because of the fact that he knows these are the two different kinds of expression in terms of the elements, and it follows two different principles of execution of forms. So the making of the forms are very different in these two things, that is giving them some distinctive identity, and the artist is very aware of that, and it's a decision from his side not to experiment too much, to combine them and come up with a style that can become very hodgepodge and confusing for the viewers. So these are the individual understanding. There are also kind of policies into different states, so that but that has happened into the sector of craft, where they were very particular in preserving their culture into the small peripheries. So this is how the scene is. So bringing artists to different from different places to a single platform, that is one endeavor that is done many a times. Then the cultural policies of the government in the post-independent era primarily looked into the economic viability related to traditional art and crafts, keeping their worldwide popularity in view. They kept traditional art and craft under the government of Ministry of Industry, Trade and Commerce to begin with. The Ministry of Culture supports folk art at present. The research findings show that there is certain amount of indiscrepancy into the execution of policies, perhaps due to the complexity of the artistic drive that the artists are having. For example, in Guru Sadar Dutt Museum, Kolkata, that has a significant collection of folk paintings that is right now coming under the purview of the Ministry of Textile, because of the fact that there are certain textile examples, the Bengal Katha, that are preserved there. So instead of coming under the Ministry of Culture, they are still coming under Ministry of Textile, and which is not doing much good to them. It's not identified properly. So it's not, issues are very subtle and intricate, and it has to be addressed by the researcher and taken proper measure for it. So the reason is that they hold a large section with a collection of age-old Katha stitch embroidery that was identified by Stella Cambridge long back. It's something they're not able to support a good maintenance and the support which is for its conservation and restoration, because the kind of support that they're getting, that is more suitable to preserve the textile works, not so much for the paintings. So this is very unfortunate an instance. Then the culture, society, and the religious complexity, that is another factor that we discussed, and that has to be addressed as another issue that is making the entire fiber much more complex. The theme of folk art, not always drawn from religious myths. There are some that are derived from the social scandals, the crime stories, the real life incidents, and many other secular factors, with comments on social value system and its decline in modern life. Modernizing as a purpose of certain creation, and these paintings give its makers, the artists, different status in the society as painters come balladers. So they are involved into conveying the social messages, as well as talking like working as a pure artist who are free with their artistic expression. So it's a different kind of a life where somebody is into the society, working for the society, and at the same time they are not into the rigid norms of the society. So they enjoy a very different status. The syncretic culture and religious plurality to put them midway between Hindu and Muslim in many contexts, especially in Bengal, possibly because the wealth and power, the area where it was in the hand of the different religious groups that came by turns. They often have both Hindu and Muslim names and observed both customary rites, perhaps to secure their acceptance to different households from both religions, because it's needed for them to be accepted by everybody. The community often goes under fundamentalist pressure from all sides to conform to one or the other religious group, and that is also very crucial till date. So these are the experiences shared by many people that I'm expressing here. So the charm of folk narrative painting lies in the exclusiveness, where not two works are similar in spite of the same subject matter and episodes breakups. That is actually mentioned by K.G. Subramaniam in one context, where we see that even when a single painter is working on a single theme, there also we see so much of variation into their creation. So there's no point in thinking that it's getting stagnant. They are not identical at all. They have some commonality in terms of the outer look, but inside they are very very dissimilar to each other, to give it that kind of an expression each time they're executing it. And it's also very unfortunate sometimes to see that when the artworks, because of its market today, is getting widespread, they're picking up the thing, it's like depending on the market. And when they find a good market, they are into mass production, and most of the time the kind of work that they're producing are very fine and intricate, but there's no expression that is there. So the soul of the art is missing in many points. In fact, when we read about the Kalamkari of Shakuntala Ramani, she makes the same comment that the art is losing its soul, because it's something which is very subjective, very fine to understand, that where because of repetition, if we do not consider it as the way of expressing our ideas, these are nothing but the visual representation of ideas, then there are chances that it may become very repetitive, rigid, mechanical, and that may die an untimely death from that perspective. So from there we are now entering to the topic of the need of paradigm shift. So there was a time when cinema as a mode of popular entertainment largely took over the culture of folk narrative oration and painting, and the folk painters, out of desperation, began to move to different professions. But of late, there is a realization that brought back the culture. This time, it's more responsible in a conscious way. It's not that they are coming back, leaving the cinema or any other medium, but they realized the importance of folk art and they saw it from a very different perspective. So, it's no longer an alternative of cinema. So, cinema is viewed from a very different perspective, the theatre, the other things, every other medium is finding its own cultural identity. So, folk art, especially the Patachitra paintings, the narratives, there had been a time when it was slightly confused in a state, but slowly it has come back and realized in a very different perspective, which is very positive. And then that we also discussed earlier, that this is all about how a practical effort to the field is explored to shift its traditional paradigm to reach the need of the society. So, I will again quote K.G. Subramaniam, that what is at the bottom of the interest? The fact is that between the visual image they present and their narrative singing, the part are the special kind of communication art. They could be called the comic strips of Bengal village presented with a live commentary. So, the traditional process of making quote खत्म होता है उसके बाद wait. The traditional process of making artworks involves preparing the color, preparing the brushes and preparing the ground on cloth or paper or any other surface. The practice confined to the village have always drawn sources from nature over commercial materials, but with the growing demand and the method and material are not restricted to natural sources any further, for all the practical reasons that we are getting acid free papers which gives us better longevity. So, it is good for the buyer who are buying it and trying to preserve it for a longer time, and also the colors that are available in the market are very convenient to use. So, why not shifting to that and incorporating that into the folk and minor art also. When the artists are exposed to all these things, they are affordable and they are doing it. So, also the commercial products ensures durability. A culture is bound to acclimatize to new circumstances, but needs cautions not to fall victims of empowered technology, and that may cause improper aesthetics to yield from that. So, the new medium of execution, if explored carefully and restrictively, may prove to be quite beneficial, and the other way it may also lead to danger. So, Kalampatua, for example, stated that he painted on paper that are used for printing newspapers, that is the newsprints that are available in the market, and found the experience very satisfying because it has a blotting tendency to it. The papers are low in price, has the right capacity of absorption and very supportive of his style of painting. But later he shifted to acid free archival paper, as the former hardly had any longevity, and his paintings are on high demand. His paintings are sold to customers all over the world now in good prices, and thus he should not compromise on the quality of the material, which is the practical side of it. Late Channo Devi, the pioneer of Godna painting in Madhubani, coated cow dung on the paper as a base and used extracts of flower, leaf and seeds to paint. Her style of painting is being carried over by many of her students and follows, but her works need thorough restoration as they are losing their luminance over time. They are almost disappearing, the kind of material that she used. Moina Chitrakar is instrumental in demonstrating her ways of making paints to the visitors, and at the same time She cherishes her experience of working for printed books and illustrations. So, this is Sita's Ramayan by Moina Chitrakar. This is this can be called as a paradigm shift from her painted scroll to the form of a book, which is also designed with a careful effort with Samhita Arni and Moina Chitrakar. They worked together on the script, and the paintings are mostly done by Moina. And Sita's Ramayan is an initiative from Tara Books. So, this is the first paper where it shows a very beautiful texture which is connected to the story. So, it's the sea that is all connected to Sita's life. That was the only barrier that put her away. And then in the next page, it's very interesting how the characters are all introduced. Of course, in the script, when the Patachitrakars they speak about all these things, we have seen that they often introduce the characters to begin with, and then the story starts. And in Ramayan, that's hardly needed. But see how it is designed in the book. So this is just an alternative of the existing Ramayan, where the script is translated into English, and the story of Ramayan is told by Sita. It's her version of Ramayan, and everything is translated to fit to the new text. So this is how Sita's Ramayan begins, and the story goes on. So it's like from a vertical scroll to a book, a picture book, a graphic novel, which is very well designed by the designers of Tara in collaboration with Moina Chitrakar. So this is how it goes. The paintings are same as Moina's other paintings, and we can see that there is one sound effect, dhadak, that is the dugdugi, and the beggar comes there. Sita is wondering that why I am taken by this one. We can see in this picture that Sita's ear is slightly larger. This is a very interesting expression. So we can see in the picture that Sita's ear is much larger for this frame. This is an amazing expression that she is alert and she listens to the beggar who is playing the dugdugi, that instrument, and asking for alms, and it takes her out of the house, and that was the great matter of regret for her. She makes the mistake, and then finally she is captured by the demon. So the kind of drama that is there with the dialogues, it's just an alternative, and perhaps it has more appeal and convenience for today's viewer to understand the story, because the dialect is a translated dialect, and the entire frame is rich with the traditional aesthetics. And it's another version of the complete Ramayan from Sita's eyes. So another very recent example where I talked to Bibhu Maharana, he said that Devi Art Foundation in their for their project, they approached him with a question that was actually asked to many artists, but it's from his perspective. He said that this is the first time I was approached to work on my dream project. They said that you do not worry about the fund. You write a proposal. What is your dream project? What would you like to work if you are supported by some funding? You write about it, and if it's approved, you are going to get the fund readily. So he said that he connected the thing. He just picked up the local boats. That like it's like Raghurajpur is the part where it's a confluence of the sea and the river there, and the boats are a symbol of that place, and he wanted to paint the entire boat and also make a wooden character standing on the board entirely painted. So he painted the entire thing on a different surface. From paper and cloth he shifted to a wooden surface that is also a three-dimensional surface, it's not a flat surface. So this is something that he experimented, and he also said that I make sure that I'm using the right quality paper and the material, and the quality of the material should be good. And one artist has every right to demand that when it's available. So the recent example of converting the narrative oration based on art forms, animated films by Neena Savnani. She has contributed to the revival of the covered storytelling of Rajasthan, which was popular as an oral tradition in the region of Mewar and Marwar. Those who have visited the marketplace of Udaipur must have come across the site of the folk performance where the narrator unfolds the portable wooden shrine with multiple folded panels as they recite stories based on genealogies and their commissioners. And we talked about it in the Phud painting, the discussion of Phud painting in our earlier lectures. So the formation of such artworks is based on multiple aspects. It is not only the painting but the making of wooden shrine as a prop, and forming a narrative oration that is engaging enough to hold the audience during the performance to give it a completion. An animation film in this case is an apt alternative of this medium to expose the art forms to a larger audience. So she did that. There are her works available in internet and of course from the regular direct sources. She has also illustrated many books and tried to, it was more like an endeavor to preserve the culture and revive it altogether by giving it alternative paradigm. So while initiating a change in the existing medium, one must work with great responsibility to examine and understand the context of the art form. So the expert should be involved into the project so that it takes the right route, because there are always risks of distortion. So the salient features that is indicative of its identity, the form and content that determines its style, and the way it communicates to its recipients. The folk art forms we often encounter over glorification and propagative tendencies that are connected to its essential humor. So, as we saw in Sita's Ramayana, that one of the year of Sita is slightly exaggerated, just to indicate that she became alert by listening to the noise that is coming out from the dugdugi or the instrument that usually we see in Shiva's hand, and that was in it was the jogi. Ravan was in disguise of a jogi who was playing the dugdugi. He approaches in and she reacted to it. So those exaggerations, the expressionistic qualities, that makes it very enriched. So what we see that this is also very important to understand in this context. There are two things that we are coming into, that the art forms being intrinsically connected to the ethnic root are rich in indigenous flamboyance. Indian modern art has drawn influence from folk art and successfully rebuilt its ethnic identity. That is one thing, because it has some expressionistic qualities into it, the rendering, the exaggeration of form, the simplification. They are so spontaneous in primitive tribal art, folk art and all these categories that the artists of the mainstream were drawn into it from time to time. And today it's like we are standing in one part where we are trying to rename them to some, so that it gets its appropriate identity. So, a structural and semiotic approach of experiencing the narrative, physical, and ethical, um, and also the visual contrast of the folk paintings have always benefited the viewers to realize its situate in the contemporary cultural milieu for a very long time. So, we will try to see that with two of the examples, as we said that it's a paradigm shift. So, there are new endeavors where there's the wooden shrine that was made by the Fudd painters that we talked about, the cupboards in the form of cupboard, that was very common, that we bring the shrine. It is like a portable temple that is coming to the marketplace, to the public place, and there are people who are going and getting the hang of that shrine, where there are many doors that will open, and each door will unfold a new sequence of the story, and that is very popular. Now, there are very few people now who would go and spend time looking at those narratives and other things. They'll do it occasionally, but cupboards are being made into smaller forms, and we are bringing them into the houses for decoration and realizing its cultural value. Now, I'll show you a very recent product by Tara Books, where they have picked up another tradition named Matani Pachedi, which is from Gujarat. And as we know that the tradition, it had a combination of block printing and painting. So, the basic drawings are done in blocks, by wooden blocks. One curves it out and prints it, and after that they fill up certain areas with the colors which are similar to kalamkari, the dyes. Now, this is one tradition which died because of many different reasons, and especially after the earthquake. It just happened that during like after the 2000, all these people, they shifted to the main city of Ahmedabad, and they're finding it difficult to carry on with their tradition. So, I'll just show you the recent endeavor by Tara Books, how they have changed the paradigm to a very subtle and limited extent, and they have come up with another version of it in the form of a limited edition print. So, it's printed in limited edition to maintain the value. Everything is hand printed and done by the artists themselves, and I'll show it in the physical form. So, this is the recent product by Tara Books, made by Jagdish Chitara in collaboration with many other designers. So, the cloth of the Mother Goddess, Matani Pachedi. Beautifully packed product that adds to the value. A detailed description is written at the back, that it's designed to invoke pre-modern, particularly Asian traditions of bookmaking. This cloth book has been hand block printed on textile panels. Each book is an original piece of art which recreates a ritual Indian textile art from known as Matani Pachedi. Traditionally, the votive cloth is made by the underprivileged Baghari community of artisans from Gujarat for their equally marginalized clients. Worshippers offer these images to their guardian goddess, to herself. So, they are in essence cloth shrines. Gifting a piece of creation to the creator is considered the highest form of worship. This poignant practice by so-called lower caste mirrors a sublime and universal conception of the power of art that the great Leonardo da Vinci himself describes. When the picture which represents the divine deity are unveiled, the vast multitude of people who are here flock together. Immediately posturate themselves as worship and invoke those whom such pictures represent, that they may regain their lost holiness and win eternal salvation, just as if the deity were present in the flesh. This does not occur in any other art or work of man. Therefore, it appears that this deity takes a greater delight in being worshipped in that rather than in any other semblance of itself. And by reason of this, it bestows grace and gifts of salvation. Leonardo da Vinci, The Book on Painting. The cloth of Mother Goddess takes the viewer from the image to the story behind it, and in companion by a short film on the artist and his artistic tradition, that makes it complete. So it's a limited edition work. They have 500 edition. This is the 347th edition of it that I am displaying here. Now what we see here is a simple version of the shrine. So it's done in a paper, just by the change of the medium. This is getting its identity. How the shrine opens its doors, and the back. I'll just read a little bit, I cannot resist it. One day people wake up to find the things are going very wrong. They are surrounded by hardship, drought, illness and death. Why has this misfortune struck them? In desperation, they seek out the shaman. The shaman tells them that they are living their lives in emptiness. They have forgotten the most important thing, to honor the Mother Goddess. He advises them to appraise her by creating and offering her an image of herself. And all other details are there in all its pages. It's coming with another booklet, from ritual art to cloth book, the detailed awareness of the thing. It's about the artist Jagadish Chitara, the tradition about the book, the universality, the universal appeal of it, form and material, about the film that is shared in Vimeo, process and labor, then the block making, the detail of the block making is there, the hand block printing, sewing, case making and screen printing, and everything that it involves. This is a beautiful cover where it's a proper block and combined with silk screen. And then comes the actual shrine. The typical tree motifs. In the complete form. Okay. So the reason why I demonstrated this was to give you one example which is combining a whole lot of things that we have been discussing, that how to preserve the cultural knowledge, preserve a traditional knowledge. It's almost like looking at it from the perspective of knowledge preservation, where we are preserving the thing in terms of their knowledge information as well as to its basic ethic. So it's only the change in the use of material, maybe from the block it's coming to the silkscreen prints for a better longevity, for convenience. At the same time, it's maintaining its spirit that this is going to have a limited edition, and after 500 editions it's not going to be available anymore. So it makes it all the more important to preserve it for long. Anyway, I'll also read out quite a few things in this context. As we discussed earlier,